our final installation of World Fair Trade Day Reimagined. Thank you so much for joining us for this virtual event. Even though we can't all be together these past 2 nights, I don't know about you, but I felt connected to all of our fair trade friends more than I ever have. At its heart, fair trade is about our interconnectedness, something that brings me so much joy during this pandemic. Can you hear me okay, actually? Can I get a thumbs up? I realized I didn't have my microphone on. Okay, great. So the audio is good. By the way, if you have any issues with technical difficulties, go ahead and just type it in the chat. We have our wonderful volunteer, Isabel, sorting through technical issues. So thank you so much, Isabel. I'd also like to share a big thanks to our sponsors, Oxfam America and Marketplace Handwork of India, and give a huge shout out to Don Williamson, who has been a valued donor to Chicago Fair Trade. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much. This evening, we'll hear from those who have brought Chicago Fair Trade happiness over this past year. It's going to be a beautiful retrospective. We've launched a new club. We've partnered with incredible student leaders in Chicago who are carrying this movement forward. And we've strengthened our connection with others who are using business as a force for good. But first, we are going to take a little stroll down World Fair Trade Day memory lane. So I'd like to welcome our vibrant, fun executive director, Catherine Bistel-Cordova, who has really helped build this community as she takes us on a stroll down memory lane. Catherine?
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see your names and little blurbs on the screen. And anyhow, but it's been a great couple of nights. And it was really fun actually putting together this piece. Now, for some reason, last night I could spotlight it, would show who's talking, but now it's not doing that for me. So Isabel's about to share her screen, so that won't. But if you guys, just so you know, those of you that are newer to Zoom, I've learned quite a bit about Zoom these last couple of weeks. But you can do the speaker view or the gallery view. But so yeah, so we can get the slideshow running. Isabel, and then I'll take you on a stroll. Yeah. Okay, still waiting for Isabel to share. But so we did our first World Fair Trade Day. Nancy Jones, who was the first director of Chicago Fair Trade, was kind of bamboozled. She went to City Hall to meet with at that point, Chicago had a Department of the Environment. And she asked, she was talking to them about fair trade, about how we had this organization, this new organization, Chicago Fair Trade. And the guy she was speaking with said, do you have like a specific day? And she said, actually, the second Saturday of every May is World Fair Trade Day. And he said, hold on. And he got on the phone and he said, called over to the mayor's office of special events, it used to be called, and said, when's Daly Plaza open? And Daly Plaza, for those of you not from Chicago, is in the heart of downtown, right next to City Hall. And he said, okay, it's yours May 4th. And then she was kind of like, oh, okay, now what? So anyhow, that first year, we had about 20-some business members at that time, and several of them joined in and set up tents and got it going. I'm waiting for the screen share, Isabel. Are you able to share it?
If you can make her a co-host, Catherine.
Oh, sorry about that.
Share. Yeah.
Sure. One sec, that makes a difference, doesn't it? One sec. Oh, here's Janet. Welcome, Janet. Sorry, Isabel. Okay, as I'm bragging about how much better we've gotten at this. Here we go. There's Isabel. So that first year, Nancy Jones, she figured out a whole lot of things. And ended up we had some people bringing water jugs, There you go. See, we were right by the Picasso. If we go on to the next slide, thanks. Look on the left, we've come a long way. We were a little more hippie back then. We have there on the left, our graphics, that was, I believe, from 2009. On the right, we would always have a drum circle, awfully hippie. It was a good idea. It really got people to hear all, throughout downtown. Be walking by and you'd hear it, and people would come. I remember the deal back then. Nancy Jones told me we would buy them all sandwiches and pay for their van to park for the day. So that was the beginning of our World Fair Trade Day celebration. Next slide, please. This is a nice vintage photo. I love this. Those of you who were on last night, and many of you know Jerome McDonald to the right and Steve Bynum to the left. Steve was senior producer of Worldview, and Jerome, they're both still at WBEZ, and there they are in their vintage Chicago Fair Trade t-shirts, which I love. But every year, the focus is on celebrating our fair trade artisan partners throughout the world, letting people know about fair trade and how it helps lift people out of poverty in safe working conditions that are dignified, long-term partnerships, and environmentally sustainable work. Next slide. Here we are. We used to have a program there at noon where we'd stand up at the podium. That's Jan Rodriguez, who used to be our volunteer chair. That was kind of a nice day that year. Next. Then Jerome and Steve said, why don't we broadcast live from Daley Plaza, which was so great. And it really helped bring a lot of people to the event. So there we were. I think that was 2014. Don't mind me. Okay, next slide, please. This was 2014 as well. That was the first year of Fashion Revolution, which many of you know about. Fashion Revolution sprung up after the Rana Plaza building tragedy on April 24th, 2013, that killed 1,134 garment workers. We had a big Fashion Revolution event on April 24th this year. That was the first year we had when we had students from Columbia College's fashion school create this installation. Next. And then we also had fair trade clothing on mannequins next to mannequins dressed in fast fashion. And we had these hang tags with grades, and people could go. We were really like pretty cool. We thought having QR codes back in 2014. The next year, 2015, in the middle there in the banana suit, that is Ann Deberton, an amazing young woman who was a student at Northwestern, who was very ambitious, and she was volunteering and interning with me, and she said, I think we should try to build the world's biggest banana split, until we did a quick Google search and learned that the world's biggest banana split was 5 miles long. So then we said, okay, how about we build the world's biggest fair trade banana split, which there was nothing on record. So we think we did that. So there we were in Daley Plaza. Ben and Jerry's donated a whole bunch of ice cream. We were all worried about where we were going to keep the ice cream, but it ended up being 34 degrees out. So we didn't have to worry about the ice cream. Next slide. And fair traders really like dressing up in banana suits. Well, some of them do. It's interesting to see who does and who doesn't. Here's Dill Pickle Co-op. Selling it at that World Fair Trade Day. Next. 2016, we partnered with Fair Trade America. We recruited a whole bunch of chefs, celebrity chefs, including Rick Bayless, who won, Master Chef. We got them fair trade ingredients, and it was actually called a potluck, but it really wasn't a potluck. Everyone was just allowed we just gave free food away to everyone that had fair trade ingredients. So that was a lot of fun. Next. Of course, a very important feature of the World Fair Trade Day has always been a marketplace. So here we are in Daley Plaza with beautiful wares, fair trade wares, and there, people could come and shop and talk to the vendors about who made their products, which was really, a first for so many of the people stumbling upon us in Daley Plaza. Next. This was 2017. That's the last year we had it in Daley Plaza. those poor volunteers, it was about 34 degrees out. It was either 80 degrees or 33 degrees, it seemed, every World Fair Trade Day. And soon after this, our tent started blowing away, and it was the first year we actually had to end early. So then we changed it up. We kind of thought, early May is a little dicey in Chicago, as you can tell from today, right? I wouldn't want to be outside all day today. But so we brainstormed with our business members. We said, what can we do next? Let's reimagine it. Let's think it up. So we moved it to Michigan Avenue, which is, those of you from Chicago, which as most of you know, is kind of synonymous with shopping here in Chicago. So we moved it over to the Magnificent Mile. We were super ambitious. We had where it says on the right, where there's those people walking, it says Fair Trade Bazaar. That was Fourth Presbyterian Church, which is the beautiful church on Michigan Avenue in front of the Hancock Building. Next, we decided to this was our friend Beth Black, who helps us with events. She thinks big, and she said, these are beautiful handmade products that so often aren't valued and showcased in a way that you can just see how beautiful they are. Last night, people were talking about, these products are as good as anything you can find on the market. So we did a luxury pop-up shop for a 3-day weekend at 900 North Michigan Avenue. So there was the escalators going up. Next. And we had some of our vendors, brought us their wares, and Beth and her friend Angie, they merchandised it beautifully. People started tearing up, different fair traders, when they'd walk in and see these goods. Next. There's Angie, who helped this. I mean, it was just such an incredible showcase. Next. Here was the other half of the store, which was light and white. And we had kind of departments. There's the children's department with fair trade goods. On the left, I love that. That was one of the windows. That's a piece from Refugee, where they do a fashion challenge, which they have coming up. And on the left, that's a piece they made. Now, next door at Fourth Presbyterian Church, we had a fashion show. So if you look at that, look at the church there. And it was quite amazing when we went to Vicki Curtis, who is a pastor, social justice pastor at Fourth Presbyterian Church. We said, could we use your space? You're right on Michigan Avenue. And we said, we want to have a fashion show. She said, we have a very long aisle in our sanctuary. Would you like to use that? And Beth and I almost fell out of our seats. We couldn't believe she let us. So then Holly Greenhagen, who's on here. Hi, Holly, bunch of people. Beth, and our business members got professional models, got professional hair, and makeup folks to come in, and we just did this gorgeous fashion show that, as I said, went through the sanctuary. But then after that, next, we took it out onto the street, up and down Michigan Avenue. There we were, going up and down Water Tower, the staircase. The security guards were a little weirded out by us, though all we were doing was marching and showing fashions. And then on the right there, you'll see we had students from Whitney Young there as well. And we really had a big focus on fashion that year in 2018, and it was really lovely. At this point, I will hand the microphone back to Andrea.
Thanks, Catherine, for taking us on that whistle-stop tour. I'm glad we re-envisioned World Fair Trade Day from Daily Plaza and now doing it virtually. And Jonique, you said you want to wear a banana suit, so we'll have to brainstorm some ways for you to be able to do that in the future. And if you're just joining us, please tune into the chat, introduce yourself, say hello. Please share all your questions in the comments. And now, since we were talking about ethical fashion, I want to introduce you to Miranda Lee, who's going to introduce herself and talk more about other ethical fashion projects we have going on with Chicago Fair Trade. Miranda?
Thank you, Andrea. Hi, everyone. My name is Miranda Lee, and I am co-chair of Chicago's Conscious Closet Club. I've been an advocate of ethical fashion since college, where I studied apparel merchandising, and was fortunate to have a professor that taught us about some of the hard truths of the fashion industry. As a self-proclaimed former shopaholic, I used to frequent the mall searching for the best deals and always quantity over quality. Once my eyes were open to the truth behind what enables our clothing to come at such a low price to the customer, I began to make very conscious decisions about what I was buying. There are so many inputs into the life cycle of our clothes, as you can kind of see on this image here, from raw materials to dyeing, from garment construction to transportation, even from laundering to what we do at the end of clothing's life. It can be really overwhelming to think about how each piece of the puzzle affects the sustainability and the ethics of what we wear. As Catherine mentioned earlier, when the Rana Plaza garment factory in Bangladesh tragically collapsed in April 2013, resulting in the death of over 1,000 employees and thousands more injured, much of the world received a wake-up call to the poor labor conditions that affect many workers in the global fashion supply chain. So as Catherine mentioned, the fashion revolution movement was born out of this tragedy, with the goal of commemorating the Rana Plaza disaster each year and encouraging individuals to do their part all year round to push for improvements in the fashion industry so history will not repeat itself. You can see some of their marketing on this slide from this year's campaign. Next slide. So last year, when Chicago Fair Trade's Fashion Revolution Week panel sold out and people turned out in a big way, next slide, for 2 ethical apparel-focused events featuring author Elizabeth Klein in the fall. I think there's another picture on the next slide as well of one of those events. So it kind of became apparent that it was time to support this community of Chicagoans who really want to learn about ethical apparel and be social while doing it. Named in homage to Elizabeth Klein's second book on the topic, the Conscious Closet Club aims to bring together Chicagoans with an interest in ethical fashion to learn from each other, share ideas, and of course, have fun. So ethical fashion can take many forms, and I kind of like this little diagram, the hierarchy of needs, playing off Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So there are ways for everyone to start making their closet a conscious one. You can purchase fair trade, of course. You can buy secondhand or swap clothing. You can support companies that are using sustainable materials. You can shop local and mending your own clothing. All of these are a few ways that people can get involved in the ethical fashion movement, and everybody can really be involved. Next slide. So our Conscious Closet Club launch event in November, which you can see here, featured a relaxed conversation on key points from Elizabeth Klein's book, a discussion on what we might do at future events, and of course, there were snacks and beverages. Next slide. So we then followed that up with a mending circle and a visible mending workshop, which you can see on the next slide as well. And the visible mending workshop had such a great turnout that we have already promised to schedule another one since not everybody was able to participate this time around. So 2021, when we're able to see each other in person again, look out for that. So the Conscious Closet Club is currently active on Facebook. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/Conscious Closet Club, or if you search Chicago Conscious Closet Club, a lot of C's, you should be able to find us and request to join. My co-chair, Holly Greenhagen, and I are hoping to expand the community beyond Facebook in the very near future, so keep your eyes on Chicago Fair Trade social media outlets for more opportunities to be engaged, starting with a tour of one fashionista's Conscious Closet during CFT's Fair Trade Tea Time this upcoming Thursday, May 14th. That's at 2 p.m. So look out for that. And if you have an idea for a fun way to celebrate ethical fashion virtually, or if you just want to make sure that you're on our email list, you can send a message to Holly, Holly, at chicagofairtrade.org. And I look forward to connecting with many of you in the future as we continue building this ethical fashion community. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Miranda, and thank you, Holly, for taking the Conscious Closet Club to the next level. We look forward to that sneak peek behind the scenes in an ethical closet. And now I would like to keep the good times rolling. Welcome everybody who's joined us since then to the Happiness Hour. We're delighted to have you. Please introduce yourself in the chat and we'll keep going. Please welcome Brianna Young and perhaps Caroline Walker if she's here. They are both seniors at Whitney Young High School, interning with Chicago Fair Trade and part of Whitney Young High School's Fair Trade Club. Brianna serves on Fair Trade Campaign's Great Lakes Leadership Team, and I want to offer you congratulations. It is the 1-year anniversary of Whitney Young becoming Chicago's first designated fair trade school. In case y'all didn't know, Whitney Young is Michelle Obama's alma mater. So give it up, put it in the chat. All of these students have worked really hard to make institutional change at their school. Please welcome Brianna.
Hi, so sadly Caroline isn't with me today, but I'm here. So like Andrea just said, my name's Brianna and I'm a senior at Whitney Young High School, and I've been interning for Chicago Fair Trade for the past school year. That has sadly been ended. I also work with the Fair Trade Campaign's Great Lakes Leadership Team, and I'm also the executive board of my school's Fair Trade Club. So basically, the way that we got started was there's a club called Global Citizenship at our school that's managed by Anne Michelle Boyle, and she's really amazing. A lot of you guys already know who she is because she's really big on fair trade advocacy. And so we get a lot of amazing speakers to come in, from National Geographic photographers to Pulitzer Prize winners and everything in between, because Miss Boyle is just awesome. And so we had Nazreen come in and talk about her story and how she had overcame child labor and basically took all of that, everything that she had learned, and learned to give it back to her community, which really got us like rolling at Whitney Young. And that was the first time that we ever thought about making a fair trade club, which is crazy considering that no one else had made it, because it's actually pretty big at our school now. Next slide. So at our Fair Trade Club, we meet Mondays before school. So you can imagine a bunch of like sleepy, tired teenagers getting up at 7:30 on a Monday. So we really do have dedicated and hardworking members. And in the club, we basically work on promoting fair trade events such as speakers. We have bridge events where we have different clubs come out and talk about the fair trade aspects that they have. And then we also had a clothing swap this year, which was really cool, and we really wanted to do another one. So hopefully they'll have another one next year. Sadly, I won't be there. And all of our hard work and dedication basically went into us becoming Chicago's first fair trade high school, which was really amazing for us and has really just opened up so many opportunities, not only for me, but for our school. Next slide. So what I've been working with Catherine and Chicago Fair Trade and also Caroline is getting more high schools in the know about fair trade and to get them to become fair trade schools, because it really is not hard at all. It's very easy. So the first step is to build your team. So our team was Miss Boyle plus the students at our school. Very easy. Everyone has students. Everyone has teachers. And then number 2, you have to commit to making fair trade announcements and events. Like I said, we've had various speakers come in. We've had Catherine come in. We've had Nazreen. We've had Elizabeth Klein this past year. That was really cool and amazing. And I also got to work with Catherine on promoting that, which was really cool. We also have bridge events where we have Tony Chocolonely and we have Metropolitan Coffee, and we sell those. And then the last step is promoting fair trade business and selling fair trade products. So at our school, we actually do have a coffee house inside, and so we sell fair trade coffee and tea for a little bit of a price raise, but not that much, because fair trade honestly does not have to be super expensive at all. Next slide. So our favorite day is World Fair Trade Day, obviously. Very sad that we could not be all together outside right now, but 100% next year. And we got to participate in the 2019 Fair Trade Day, which was really cool. We gave tours inside of the pop-up home. You can see a bunch of students just giving tours around Beth's design work, which was really awesome and amazing, and just getting random people off the street to come and learn about fair trade, which is really cool. Then we also passed out fair trade chocolate on the street. Next slide. And we educated passerbys about the chocolate industry. A couple students got interviewed by WBEZ, which was really awesome and really cool. And then we also had students like play live music, walk around and just help people. So it was really nice to just get outside and get to volunteer about a cause that we care about so much. And next slide. So overall at Whitney Young, we're just really grateful about fair trade and the fact that we discovered it and acted on our interest by creating the club, because a lot of people do have the interest about fair trade. It's just they don't know where to start or what to really do. So we're really glad that we acted on that and created a club. We're really glad that we've got to become the first public high school in Chicago. That's really amazing. We've got to participate in the World Fair Trade Day conferences. We've screen printed teas for Fair Trade Day with Chicago Fair Trade. We've gotten the hype out about Fair Trade at Whitney Young, which is awesome. And yeah, I'm super sad to part ways with the club this year, but I'm definitely bringing everything that I learned to college with me, and hopefully I can get a Fair Trade club started up there. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Brianna. Wow, so inspiring. I just want to talk to you more. Where are you going to school? What are you studying? But thank you. Where are you going to school? Just tell us.
Okay, so I'm going to Syracuse University, and I'm going to be studying forensic science and psychology.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
helping pave the way for other high school students and everybody on the call. And Michelle Boyle is also going to be showing the World Fair Trade Day, all of our presentations to her classes.
Yes, to her classes.
Wonderful. Well, if you are as heartened as I am at the youth leaders in the fair trade movement, you will be very happy to meet our next guest. Thanks to all of you who are continuing to join us here. With us from his kitchen, live in action, is Evan the chef. Evan is a Master Junior Chef finalist, organic gardener, philanthropist, and fair trade activist. Hello, Evan.
Hi, everyone. As you said, my name is Evan Robinson, and I was a quarterfinalist in the show MasterChef Junior. And from that, that's where I kind of got into fair trade. I started with just talking to different chefs and just getting into the culinary industry. And then as I got more interested in the culinary industry, that's really where I got into fair trade, because I realized that I shouldn't just focus on my food, but I should focus on the people that are producing my food and that are making my food. So when I went to the Fair Trade Conference last spring, that really opened my eyes as to what fair trade was and why it was so important. Because when I learned that someone as young as 4 could be harvesting the sugar that I use in my dishes, I knew that that was a very big problem, and I knew that I should help to fight that in any way that I could. And also I met people from like the Whitney Young Fair Trade Club there. So it was really cool to see other kids as active as I am about this and passionate about as I am. So then after the conference, that's kind of where I started I took what I learned at the conference and I brought it to some of my chef friends in the culinary world, and they saw how it was such a big deal to use fair trade ingredients, but also how their products were still amazing while using them. Their dishes were still tasting great. And after that, that's kind of where I started. After that was World Fair Trade Day, and that's where we took, I made a pop-up bake shop where I partnered with some of the different restaurants and chefs, and we worked to make some different products that were fair trade, and they were all amazing, and we had a lot of fun educating others about fair trade food, and that was a lot of fun. And then after that, later that year, I was honored as the Change Maker of the Year, which was very surprising. And I'm also just very thankful to Fair Trade, not even just for giving me that award, but just for being there and giving a voice to the voiceless. And I'm happy that I'm able to be a part of this journey. And as I got more interested in educating others and partnering with other fair trade people, that's where I met Tony's Chocolonely. So they are an amazing chocolate company that produces great chocolate. And I'm happy to partner with them. They are 100% slave-free chocolate. And also, like I said before, their chocolate tastes amazing. I have some of it right here. They've got a very fun design on it. And that's what I'm going to be using in what I'm making today. So I am making chocolate chunk cookies, and I'm using their milk chocolate and their dark chocolate. So let's do this thing. So to make these cookies, we want to take our butter. We want to take our butter right here, put it into our mixing bowl, and then we're going to crack 2 eggs in there. 1 egg, and then 2 eggs. This recipe was my mother's recipe, actually, which is fun that I'm sharing it, and I'm happy that she was able to pass this down to me. I have some vanilla right here, and some white sugar and brown sugar. You want to make sure when you're doing this, you want to pack the brown sugar down, as brown sugar versus normal sugar has a lot of air in it just from how it is made. So we're going to put in our brown sugar into the bowl. And with the magic of Zoom calls, I already have this creamed right here. So I take this and then I have it creamed. So here, what you want to do, you want to take, next up, you want to take your flour and mix it with some oats. I use oats in this because oats are able to, they add a nice richness to the cookies. While it's not too overpowering with the amount of oats that I'm adding, so it doesn't turn into an oatmeal cookie. Baking sugar, baking powder, and some salt. And then we're just gonna mix this up right here. And then we're gonna pour this into here. And once again, with the magic of Zoom, I already have the cookies done right here, mixed up. So next up, we're gonna add our chocolate. And this is kind of where it gets really fun. You can just cut up the chocolate however you want it. They're nice chunks. I have some big chunks and small chunks in here. And yeah, let's just do this thing. This chocolate is truly amazing. Thank you, Tony Chocolonely, for partnering with me on this. They have some amazing chocolate. In here, you want to work it with your hands, just get into it and mix all the chocolate up into there. And then once you have your chocolate mixed up, here comes the fun part. I like this part. I like making my cookies nice and uniform, but however you want it, you can mix them with your hands. You can do it however you like it. And then just take your cookies into the ice cream scoop and then put it onto a sheet pan. And then after you're done with that, you just stick them right in the oven. And then we'll come back later to see these cookies once they're done. All right.
Wow, Evan the chef. Give it up for Evan the chef. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to come back and see how those cookies transform. It's making me hungry. My roommate is just saying she had never thought to use an ice cream scooper. So thank you for that mini cooking lesson as well. Everyone on the call, stick around because we'll be sharing the recipe for his chocolate chip cookies at the end. This next segment is some serious fair trade eye candy. Catherine is going to take you on a tour of the crown jewel of our World Fair Trade Day 2019 celebration, our Fair Trade pop-up home. Take it away, Catherine.
Okay, so yeah, every year we've kind of had a theme, and last year it was this Fair Trade pop-up home. And this was Beth Black, who, oh my gosh, you guys will see. So anyhow, so at Fourth Presbyterian Church, excuse me, they have a very underutilized space, which is where the pastor used to live before Michigan Avenue was so built up, and then it got too loud, so the pastors moved out and got a condo around the corner in the 1980s. But so Vicki Curtis, Reverend Vicki Curtis, showed us this space after we did the event in 2018 and said, I wonder if you have any thoughts. And Beth and I were like, yeah. So next slide. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, those of you who know it, many of you know it, it's an iconic, big, active social justice church right on Michigan Avenue. This is walking through the courtyard into the 1914 pastor's home called the manse. That's what you call it in a Presbyterian church. Next. And as Brianna had said, here's some of her fellow students. They were out front hawking it, getting people to come in. Next. So yeah, we have these maps up and people handing them up and down the streets. This is a before shot. It's a 3-room apartment. So this is the living room. This is what it looked like, I think, on Tuesday. Next. And this is what it looked like by Friday morning when we opened it. We tripped it out with all sorts of lovely fair trade goods from our mostly 95% it was from Chicago Fair Trade business members. Here's Shayna Harris, who you guys might have heard speak last night on supply chain transparency. She started Chicago Fair Trade, and there she was talking with Whitney Young students and others. Again, these high school students, boy, has it gotten more interesting than when I went to high school. But anyhow, it was just a really magical place. On the left, the couches, the pillows on the couch are from West Elm. So we were also showing that some of these major retailers are getting into fair trade. Next. And here's some of Beth's beautiful magical work. This is Kissy Stone from Kenya from Venture Imports. Next. Some Monan weavings, just beautiful, beautiful fair trade products throughout. So this is the before picture with the middle room. This is what it was pretty sad when we broke it down and brought back these plastic folding tables. But then next, Beth transformed it into a bedroom with fair trade bedding from Bowl and Branch with, there's a Whitney Young docent giving a tour. Next. And then you could see into the room off of the kitchen, kind of the dining room. Next. And it was just everywhere you turned. It was just beautiful. It was really magical. There we had lots of people coming through, touching, feeling, really seeing what it would be like, you know, to trip out your house with fair trade goods. This next picture, we were all in love with. Next picture. That chair, which is from 10,000 Villages, and it's made out of recycled sari. And then we've got some yoga wares from Kathmandu Yogi. There we had our fair trade closet with clothes from Mata Traders and Refugee and Maita collection bag on the ground there. Next. We had WTTW, our local PBS station came to film. That's me. Next. There we have Brianna again and her classmate. They were very excited to welcome people and share everything about the house. Next. This is the before picture of kind of the dining room, the room off the kitchen. And I love the pastor. One of the first things she said, if we can go back for 1 second, this is when you know you love a pastor, when she said, yeah, the first thing you guys probably want to do is get rid of that photo of that dead white guy, which we did. Next. And put up a poster of a fair trade artisan. Yeah. Next. There we had Jerome McDonald broadcasting live Worldview to the gentleman in the front of the photo with the headphones on. That's Chris Solt, who's the executive director of the Fair Trade Federation, who came to Chicago for the event. Next. Some beautiful details. A little kid corner over there. That's magical. Yes, and we also hired a professional photographer, which we've come a long way since the drum circle and buying them sandwiches. Next. There's just a fair trade table with fair trade wares from Greenheart Sobre Mesa, fair trade food on the table. That's a view looking back into the bedroom. Next. And then we tripped out the kind of 1980s kitchen and made it a fair trade kitchen. So everything in the counters is fair trade cookware, and the cabinets. Next, you have fair trade food. People were just poking around the whole house. That's Audrey. She's going to be my intern from Whitney Young next year. Next. Up until it said open me on the refrigerator, and there people could open, and it was filled with fair trade goods. Next. Even to, more fair trade. I love the drink, the carafes, I can't speak, or decanters. Next. Even to the bathroom where we had fair trade toothpaste and Be Love, from our local social enterprise, it's a member, soaps and whatnot. Next. And Beth Black had to receive our Changemaker Award for just bringing it all, making such a thing of beauty that it really made us all of our hearts well. And you can hire her too. She is a interior designer extraordinaire, always, tries to encourage people to incorporate fair trade and vintage pieces. It's Elizabeth Marie Designs, I think, is her website. Go on and look. Shameless plug. There you go. That's Marilyn Antonique, our Trailblazer Award winner. She's a legend in fair trade circles in Chicago, giving Beth her award. And I have to say that we are proud that every time when we give an award, rather than giving a sweatshop trophy made in China, we give custom weavings made by Guatemalan Cooperative. This one from Yabal, who's a Chicago Fair Trade member. Thank you, Sarah Foer. So that's all on that pop-up home. I hope it inspired you. It certainly inspired the people who came through. And next up, this is one of my favorite photos of all time. Did we skip a slide? I thought there was another slide right before that.
It's coming next.
Oh, okay. I messed up.
Thank you. Sure. Should I go ahead and kick it off, or Andrea, are you going to?
Yeah, let me just tee you off. Let me just tee
Sure.
you up there, Teresa. So thank you very much, Catherine, for giving us, it's great to relive some of these things and not just keep doing, but really take in all that we've been able to do as a community. And at last year's World Fair Trade Day event, in addition to celebrating Whitney Young's Fair Trade School designation, creating a fabulous pop-up home, and hosting a bake shop organized by Evan the chef, we also organized some workshops and presentations, including one by B Corp. And I'm going to hand it over to Teresa Vandermeer of Work Shelter. She attended that presentation, and we are sure glad she did. So Teresa, take it away.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. First of all, I just want to say I'm so excited to be here, and I'm appreciative of Catherine for bringing this photo up. Oh my gosh, you know, it really, I have some heartache seeing my two managers in India who I really, really love so dearly, knowing that they are under lockdown conditions that are very different than our own. So they're in a situation where there's infrequent electricity, there's sometimes the water access is disrupted. So, you know, just really thinking about them and my affection and love for them. My name is Teresa Vandermeer. I'm a social entrepreneur. And for those who are not familiar with that term, I like to think of it as the best of both worlds from both the business and nonprofit world. So the efficiencies of business, you're selling a good or a service, but combined with the virtues and goals of the nonprofit space. And for me, that manifests at Work Shelter. Work Shelter is a social enterprise that I started in India, and we employ over 40 women in need. So we've got our production in India, and then we've got a team in the United States as well. And we collaborate with designers, nonprofits, businesses in the United States, but really all over the world, who either want to bring their own ethical, sustainable retail line to market, or they want to source organic t-shirts, cotton tote bags, swags like that. So yes, next slide. It has been about 1 year since I attended the B Corp information session that was hosted at World Fair Trade Day. And so you can see here, the panel was put on by a few different companies that are really leaders in that space here in Chicago. So Lime Red and Mighty Bites are both marketing agencies, and then Meliora is a soap company. And what I was really excited to learn about at that session was what makes B Corp special. And as you can already get a sense, you can be any type of company can be a B Corp. You can be a manufacturing space, you can be a law office, you can be an ad agency. You know, it's really, you know, it really is a very diverse group. And so many of us in the fair trade ethical fashion space know that Patagonia and Eileen Fisher are examples of B Corps that are in the, you know, the clothing, the apparel space. But I was just so excited to hear that that this is really a certification that transcends industry, and that's one of the reasons why it's so powerful. And so when I walked into that session a year ago, I had been considering moving forward with the certification, but there were so many different types. There's Fair Trade USA, Fair Trade America, World Fair Trade Organization. There's GOTS, which is the Organic Textile Standards. There's B Corp, and there's so many more. And I actually had gone so far as to commission a research project so I could understand the differences between all of them. But I still didn't know which way to go until I went into this panel. And so at that session, I learned, of course, about the different businesses, but I got to meet the founders of Lime Red, Meliora, Mighty Bites, and hear more specifically about what the assessment, the B Corp certification actually entails. And so something that I found really compelling was that it's not just about what you're already doing. The B Corp assessment really provides a roadmap for how to be a better business. It provides, and that roadmap is so invaluable. So the assessment is broken up into a number of categories. You provide information about governance, you provide information about workers, community, environment, and customers. And the idea is that there are so many different stakeholders that are involved in any one business or any one organization. And so for us, you know, we were started to help women in need. And then we started being really conscious about the supply chain with purchasing organic cotton, with purchasing recycled materials. But actually just doing good in those categories is not enough. The application requires that you answer questions about, about the community, about your customers. Do you have a way for your customers to give you client feedback or feedback about the products? And so I got really excited about this process because I knew that it was a way for me to not just show what Work Shelter was doing well, but also demonstrate what we could do in the future. And of course, my cat is taking this moment to make a lot of noise. And so after this session, I went and I visited the offices of Meliora and the offices of Lime Red. And both of these companies have female leadership. And I was talking to them about how I was super excited about the B Corp process and I really wanted to become one, but I was nervous about how much of a heavy lift it would be. And so, me with these two other women, we decided to start a group called Be Curious. And it started off as Be Curious Women, and now it's just Be Curious because we want to be, which is on the next slide, because we want to be a bit more open. But that group met to talk regularly about the intricacies of the application. We helped each other by sharing some documentation. So for example, in India, we know all of our suppliers by name. We've been to their spaces, we work with them all the time. But as a company grows, it's important to have a vendor sourcing policy so that you standardize what you are looking for when you work with new vendors. And so Kate from Meliora, she was happy to share her vendor sourcing policy. And that meant that I didn't have to hire a lawyer. I didn't have to go and do all of this really hard work myself. I was just able to change her policy to make it a good fit for Work Shelter. So we met to talk about the application, but also work on it. And so now, a year later, I'm happy to announce that we have officially finished our application and we are currently awaiting our results. So we're celebrating, the impending certification. I do just want to say one more thing. If you need help with this application, please let me know. I'll leave my email ID in the chat. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. I'd be happy to walk you through the assessment. I think the B Corp certification is just a really wonderful way to communicate to people about what you're already doing, but also help you create a roadmap to create a better future or a better path for your business in the future. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. That is so inspiring. And it also helps us realize what sometimes these events can lead to, and that we can't always create a hard metric for an event like this, a big educational event like this, and what it creates in the world. So thank you so much for sharing your story, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Super excited.
All right, so we are going to move along. A beautiful segue. We are joined by Stephanie Eiler-Drachman. She works with Tony Chocolonely or Chocolonely?
Tony Chocolonely.
Okay, thank you. And Stephanie, you're in Portland, Oregon, and you were going to be with us in Chicago, but of course that was delayed. Welcome, and please tell us more.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute joy to be here with you all. I actually my heart just keeps expanding and expanding as I hear all of your stories, and I'm inspired by the youth change makers and the work Teresa's doing, and just what everyone is sharing. Tony's is a social impact B Corp. We exist to see the end of illegal child labor and slave labor in the cocoa industry. And we, we're fair trade certified. And then also what Teresa was talking about, where it's putting people over profit. And I'm going to take you through what is going to be probably my fastest ever, I'm calling it a Tiny Tony's talk. I feel like since we've shared a lot of different perspectives, Tony kind of encompasses both these worlds, and I want to talk more about what makes us Tonys, how we're pursuing our mission, and our origin story, how we started. So I'll start with this slide here. This slide explains what the value chain looks like in the cocoa industry right now. Currently, there are a handful of companies at the center of the value chain that control it. On one side, you have millions of cocoa farmers. On the other side, you have billions of consumers, and you have this handful that's controlling the value chain, and their biggest concern and what their focus is on is profit. They're trying to keep the cost of goods as low as possible in order to make as much money as possible. And we don't believe that that is the way that things should be done. We believe that farmers should be paid a living wage, and that we have to work towards ending illegal child labor and be very vocal about the fact that this is happening and that something can be done. Currently on cocoa farms, well, we'll break this down a little bit differently. Right now, the average bar of chocolate in a grocery store in the US, if you were to go to Whole Foods Market, for instance, which carries Tony's nationwide, you would pay about $5 for a bar. Out of that bar of chocolate, 12 cents of that, traditionally, from those big choco companies is making it back to the farmer. The way that breaks down based on how much they're producing and selling is it's about $1,300 annually that they're making. And it equates to about 60 cents per day per person in their family. That is significantly below the $2 a day poverty line for Ghana and the Ivory Coast. Next. So I'm going to speak more about Ghana and the Ivory Coast. Those are two countries in West Africa that Tony sources their beans from exclusively. It's also those two countries that produce 60% of the cocoa that makes chocolate all around the world. Cocoa is a crop that flourishes along the equator. So yes, you can grow it in Asia. Some is going to come from South America. But again, the bulk is coming from these two countries in West Africa. Next. Within these two countries, which is kind of staggering to think about, but the average family farm is about an acre of land. And there are 2.5 million cocoa farms in the Ivory Coast and Ghana. Next. On those cocoa farms, there are currently 2.3 million children working in illegal and dangerous conditions. Next, 90% of the 2.3. So I don't want to overinflate that number, but 2.3 children are working on cocoa farms, 90% are working in illegal and dangerous conditions. And it's a conversation that's difference between child labor and illegal child labor and child work. If any of you come from a lineage of having a family business, you know, Tony's is not trying to say that a child cannot go to school and come home and help in the family business and pick up a few beans and things like that. But unfortunately, that's not what is happening. Children are not given access to education. They're also using sharp machetes, dangerous chemicals, and put in really compromised situation that leads, in fact, to 30,000 children working in slave labor conditions, where they've either been sold into it or they're kind of forced into it. Again, which we've talked about several times today, is that poverty and not being paid a living income is at the root of this. People are resorting to unethical practices and slave labor because they are not earning a living wage. Next. So in 2001, there were two US senators, Harkin and Engel, and they put together something called the Harkin-Engel Protocol. So this was meant to expose what was happening in the industry, but also get all of Big Choco. So again, when I was talking about that hourglass of the value chain, millions of farmers, billions of consumers, handful, honestly, of multi-billion-dollar companies that controls this industry. And so Harkin and Engel thought, okay, great, we'll get all of these companies that control it, that are buying mountains of cocoa, and therefore their decisions can impact this and really cause significant change. All the chocolate companies signed on. Within 10 years of signing this, they were going to eradicate child labor and modern slavery. And we're, significantly beyond that now. We're almost at the 20-year mark, and nothing has still been done to really change anything. Next.
Stephanie, this is so informative, and I appreciate you giving the tiny talk. And I just wanted to give you a tiny time
check. Yeah,
check.
give me the tiny time check. How much time do I have, Andrea?
You've got 3 minutes to run through.
I've been preparing for this, so here we go. Okay, the 3-minute tiny talk. This slide represents our origin story. So, we're B Corp, social impact, but where we started was a Dutch journalist who learned about the issue in the cocoa industry, tried to get a bunch of companies to do something about it, tried to get arrested as a chocolate criminal. I can tell you so much about it, but ultimately couldn't get arrested because the judge says, if I arrest you, I would have to arrest everyone that's eating chocolate because this is in the entire supply chain. And he started Tony's. Next. This is one of our favorite quotes. It's Anita Roddick. She founded The Body Shop. If you think you're too small to have an impact, try going to bed with a mosquito in the room. And I feel like we're all those mosquitoes, and that this movement is growing and we're gonna start taking over. Next. And these ones will kind of fly by. So our roadmap is create awareness, lead by example, inspire to act. And you can kind of cruise. So that's taking all the people that know about Tony's, you now included, and sharing that out. Next, we have our series friends. So that are the people that are really vocal and like to advocate and share our mission and share our story. Keep going. And then this is our recipe for slave-free chocolate. So this is our business model. It's transparent. We want to share it with everyone. We want everyone to adopt it. We believe in traceability, paying a higher living wage, developing long-term relationships, etc. But at the end of the day, Tony's is crazy about chocolate and serious about people. We believe that you should put people over profit, and we should be inspiring the next generation of change makers, our own selves, and really working to change the world one chocolate bar at a time. Thanks so much, guys.
Mm-hmm. Wow, you really did take.
Yeah, and keep going really quick. Actually, I want to show you the Choco Truck is coming up here really quickly. One more, there it is. Stop right here, I think. Yes. So what we missed by not being there with you now, we would have actually been in Chicago, is this is our Choco Truck. This is the US team. And we cannot wait to see you out on the road in the future. So I just wanted to share that, there's just a lot of great work that you're doing in Chicago, and we're so excited to partner with you and get to share in some of that in the future.
Yes, thank you so much. What an informative and inspiring presentation. We look forward to the truck coming next year.
I know.
And I think now's a good time to check back in with Evan.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Oh, you guys call me Eden. Yeah, these cookies came out of the oven. They're so good. You guys have to try the recipes. Thank you, Tony's Chocolonely, for these amazing chocolate bars. They have so many different flavors, you guys. This is amazing. Look at all these chocolate.
The smell, Evan. How does it smell?
It smells so good. Here, can you smell it?
We just learned we really need to I've been very happy with Zoom these past few days that it exists, but we got to figure out the teleporting, Get us your cookies, Evan. Yeah. That is so awesome. I love that. Oh, your lucky family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So here's the recipe, which in everyone who's registered for this event, we're going to be sending you out emails. We'll send out all of this. Oh my gosh, yum. And Evan, we were so inspired by his bake shop that our plan for this year was to do, but we have now postponed it for May 2021. But look at this, we're gonna do that beautiful pop-up home that you guys saw. And check this out, Beth Black's dream has always been to open a candy shop. So we're doing a fair trade candy shop, candy shop and bake shop. And the good news is we already have a lot of the legwork done because we already had been preparing a lot for doing this. But so we want you all to join us next year at next year's World Fair Trade Day event in person. If everyone who would like to could unmute themselves, unhide yourselves, and put on a gallery view, and we can all just say, Happy World Fair Trade Day tomorrow. Oh, I'm getting all requests.
Cheers.
Oh, you guys.
Happy World Fair Trade Day.
Happy World
Oh,
Fair
I gotta
Day.
take a screenshot of this. This is too good. Thank you so much to everyone. A huge thanks to Beth Black too. I was like freaking out like the first week. I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do. I can't figure it. She was like, I'll help you figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. So anyhow, thank you, Beth. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you all of our presenters, all of our volunteers. Isabel, honestly, oh my gosh, it would have been a fraction of the event without you. So cheers. I'm getting all verklempt over here.
And Catherine, we wouldn't be a great nonprofit if we didn't give one more volunteer plug.
Oh yeah, Sarah Power. Sarah Power.
Okay, people.
You sorry, Sarah. There we go. There's Sarah Faur.
Here's the deal. We don't want to wait until 2021 to be engaged with everyone and to see everyone and for you to be a part of Chicago Fair Trade. So please, I put my email here in the chat. Email me if you'd like to be on the volunteer list. We'll get you on the list. We'll keep you updated on all of the opportunities there are. Virtual for now. It's going to be real next year. But please sign up, subscribe us, like us, follow us, and send me an email and
Buy our coffee.
involved.